A new report indicates that arrests in Madison, Wisconsin are questionable when it comes to the race disparity or the racial disparity. So the report on policing in Madison, Wisconsin revealed that officers in the city could be arresting nearly a third of black children between the ages of 10 and 17 each year. Wow. All right, so just to give you some more information about this huge disparity between white residents of Madison and black residents, Wisconsin is only second to Indiana, which has the highest arrest rates in the country for black kids. But Madison doubles Wisconsin's arrest rate for black kids, making them 8 times more likely to be arrested than white children. 8 times more likely. And look, sometimes we do these stories and people will comment and say, well, it's because black people commit more crimes. Really? They commit 8 times more crimes than white people? You really believe that?
Yeah, I mean, look, your best case scenario is that if you don't want to look at it racially, you'll look at it that the poor kids are 8 times, the poorest kids are 8 times more likely to get arrested. But the fact is then we found out, as we found out recently right here at TYT, you don't have to be a poor black kid to get pulled over by the cops.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was pretty devastating. All right. So according to a report that was done by an investigative journalist at Fusion by the name of Cristina Costantini, she says that in a city where whites outnumber blacks more than 11 to 1, Madison made over 1,000 arrests of black children between the ages of 10 and 17 in 2013. It's unclear how many kids may have been arrested more than once, but only 3,247 black children of that age live in the city, and that's according to the U.S. Census.
So they arrested 1,000 out of 3,200, or they arrested one really incorrigible kid 3,100 times.
Right.
And this is not that big a deal all of a sudden. It's just that kid is a pain in the ass. Like, yeah, I mean, and whatever, it's just life-changing as soon as you're part of the system. Some of those kids committed crimes, but what are you doing arresting 10 to 17? 10.
I know. So this is, if you want to look at the macro scale, this is a huge problem when it comes to all kids, right? So we have the school to prison pipeline where schools with zero tolerance policies will immediately go after children with criminal charges simply because they're being kids. So there was this crazy story out of Atlanta where one judge was getting paid by juvenile detention centers to go after kids in the harshest way possible and basically incarcerate them so these for-profit facilities would profit off of
that judge,
right?
That judge, that's just, I didn't know about that story. It was in Atlanta?
Yes, Chiavarelli, that was his name, Judge Chiavarelli. He was caught and thankfully arrested and prosecuted and convicted. So he's currently in prison himself as a result of that.
That's not the guy in Pennsylvania? But
he might be in Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right,
Don't quote me on the location. I just know his name is Judge Chiavarelli.
Okay, yeah, but I think you're talking about the Pennsylvania case, or there are two. But yeah, I mean, it's as scandalous as you get. And they caught that guy. I have a tough time believing he was the only one.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And so you're seeing more and more young people being sent to prison simply for being kids, right? So they'll go to school and let's say their mom packed them a lunch that has a plastic knife in it. They'll get prosecuted for that. I mean, it's crazy, and it's because of these zero tolerance policies. Now, I know we're kind of off to a tangent, but again, on a macro level, we have a huge problem in the country with throwing people in prison, and now it's starting to seep into, the child demographic, and it's disgusting. And it's particularly bad for those in a lower socioeconomic status and those who are minorities. And Madison, Wisconsin is just a small example of that.
By the way, it was Pennsylvania, and he got 28 years in prison.
Good. That's exactly what he deserves. I apologize. I don't know why I keep thinking it's Atlanta, but yeah, it was Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're getting too far afield because also just what it does to a kid when you put him in the criminal justice system is terrible. These are kids. I mean, I get it. Kids who commit crimes maybe should go into the criminal justice system. Maybe. Depends on the severity of the crime. You can find a way out of it. But schools are calling the police entirely too quickly in some cases. Because so many of these things don't need to be settled. And we know that it doesn't work. Like if your point is, if we thought, oh man, if they come and cops get arrested, and then it's fine. But that's not what happens.
That's not what happens.
You don't get rehabilitated. We don't do that. We're not in the business of rehabilitating people in this country. Let me tell a quick story because it goes to the psyche, not just of the psychology, not just of the schools and the police, but of all of us and our desire for, that bad kid and keep that bad kid away from my good kid, right? So when I was covering, when my first on-air TV job was as an education reporter in Charleston, South Carolina, and And that beat was a serious beat in Charleston because the Board of Education, the Charleston County Board of Education, they fought all the time, and they fought over great issues. There was a crazy guy every month, John Graham Altman, really conservative, racist. I liked him. I mean, I liked interviewing him, and he liked me. I was one of the good Jews. But he would propose March to be White History Month, right after Black History Month, because he thought we needed it. It's only fair.
We need to celebrate white people.
It's only fair. And they were always, they wanted to ban textbooks and they wanted to teach creationism. So it was always a good fight and a good story.
What do we teach in White History Month, by the way?
Yeah, the other 11 months and much of February. It's not like you can't mention a white guy in February.
Right.
Right?
It's so funny. Okay.
So dumb. Anyway, so I covered that beat for a couple of years. And one day I get a call from my news director, and he had some connections to school people, and he told me there'd been a race riot on a bus. Right? And I got to track it down, cover the story, tells me what school I go. Nobody's talking. I find out. I had to talk to parents. Finally, it takes me till 10:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock. It started at 9. I tracked down where it is, and it turned out it was on a bus in the school west of the Ashley in Charleston, and a 5-year-old boy and another 5-year-old boy, one white and one black, had fought over a seat, and they pushed each other and maybe thrown a punch. They're 5. They're on the bus. They're going
race riot.
Going to kindergarten, but one was riot.
Race riot.
It's a race riot. And I've told the story before, but so when I hear it, I laugh, and I'm like, oh, thank God, right? It's nothing. And and literally, even though this part wouldn't matter, they got off the bus together.
Yeah.
They punched each other, and then they went to play, right, or whatever. And so I call my news director, a guy I really like, and I'm like, yeah, Don, these are 5-year-olds. And it wasn't a race riot, it was just 2 of them. And they threw some punches on the bus, and then the bus driver got it in order.
Yeah.
Stopped the bus and kept them from fighting, and then went on, and everything's fine. But they were 5. And he's like, yeah, we already did the promos. You got to do the story.
Oh. Jeez.
I feel like I won that fight, and we didn't do the story. But I might be patting myself on the back unnecessarily. I don't really remember what happened, but I remember him telling me, no, you got to do it anyway.
No, but good for you, because that's a clear case of you actually following journalistic ethics and not sensationalizing a non-story.
And so I don't know. I mean, I wish the situation almost now, I'd love to be in that situation now, have him say the same thing to me, and then be forced to do the story, because then I would just do the story poorly.
Right.
I'd be like, race riot. I'd be like, actually, as soon as they tossed it at me, but actually that's not true. It's just a fight between a 5-year-old and they're adorable and they're friends now, but they did scuffle. But kids will be kids. Reporting live at the Charleston County School Board, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Back to you.